If you go back about 30, 40 years ago, when computers were more in its infancy, still people tried to use them because that was a way to process a lot more data and be able to gain some insights. These days, we have a lot more computing power, and as such, analysis of data has become a lot easier. The question is, what kind of analysis do you do? And so that you can get, better knowledge out of them. So proper blend of science and data analysis is very critical to gain unique insights. So people would have generally been, those who are science experts would normally understand the science or the physics behind what is going on. They collect the data that is appropriate, try to form relationship, and based on that, they try to make better decisions. Nowadays, you're able to collect a lot more data. And so many times you are always looking to see whether they can tell you, the data can tell you some new hypothesis that you may want to pursue. And if those are true, then you can make better decisions. So this is what you essentially do in data analytics. So going back again, data analytics or analysis of data has been around for quite some time. The difference these days is that you have a lot more data that you're collecting. You have a lot more high-speed computing capabilities, and you are able to get better insights if you combine the two. So that's what data analytics is all about. And it's all driven by companies wanting to glean a little bit more so that they can make better decisions and make their business successful. So with that, so what is the program that we are offering? This is Upstream Energy Data Analysis. So we are focusing on the upstream portion of the energy business, upstream oil and gas, so that whenever we give examples, it can be particularly in that area. It is offered by the UH Energy at the University of Houston. And so we bring in the academic side, but we are also in collaboration with Next, a Schlumberger company, who are, many of you know about Schlumberger. It's a service company that serves the oil and gas industry globally and has been doing it for a long time, bringing in major breakthroughs in terms of how you collect data and then how you get better insights into what is going on underground. So we're collaborating with them. It's a joint one that we have. It is designed and presented by leaders from industry and accomplished faculty here. So as I said again, it's not like data sciences or data analysis has not been done in the past. It has been done, but it is a question of doing it on a larger scale with more data and gaining more insights. Several faculty at the University of Houston have been doing this for a long time, and so they will be also participating. And they have been working on real world problems, and so they will be able to share some of those as well. We are also in this one collaborating with the University of Houston downtown. Professor Shastri, who teaches data analytics at UHD, will be one of the lecturers in this program. It is offered through a structured series of micro-credentials or badges. So this whole thing about badging, again, has been around for a little while. And badging is much more oriented towards skill set development. So about 10, 12 years ago, it started pretty much in computing software companies like IBM, who really needed people to come in and make sure that they know how to write a program or test a program and then so on. As opposed to learning a lot more about in a program on a master's in computer science, where you not only learn a little bit about the programming, you learn a lot more about how computers work. Uh, Somebody has to mute their phone. I mean their themselves. So if you have not muted yourself, kindly do so. So the badges were a way to, in short time frame, you just work on a certain skill set, and when you have it, you're given a badge. And IBM has given, as I understand, well over 1 million badges for lots of people who have been trained over the last 10 years. And so having a set of badges is a way to just say that I have the skill set that I can help you with. The other trend that is going on as we talk to people in industry, especially senior management, they are, and HR departments, they are saying we would really like to have more people with skill sets. The degree program is good because they have a good knowledge, but we also need more people with the right kind of skill sets. So to blend the two, that's what we are offering here. We are offering a skill set in data analytics. And so we embrace the concept of badges. The second thing about badges is you do it in small bite sizes. So for every 15 hours of contact hours, you get a badge. 3 such badges gives you a belt. A belt is about the equivalent of a university course credit, a 3-hour course credit. 3-hour course credit contact hours are roughly about 42 hours. So it is the equivalent of that we are trying to do here. So each badge gives you in small chunks, and the way we have it structured is we give you a little bit of a lecture for about 20 minutes, immediately test people on how well they have comprehended the concepts over there. And once you have, that gives the instructor a feel for how well it has been understood or what are the areas that there are gaps in understanding. So we spend the next 10 minutes or 15 minutes, as the case may be, to discuss and elaborate on those concepts so people understand this a lot better. Then we move on to the next topic. So we have got this whole thing set up in 2-hour lectures. So I'll talk about that, shortly. So the program provides the necessary data science skill sets as well. So you get the data analysis. We also talk about the science part of what is the problem that you're trying to handle. And that is why one of the requirements was you have some experience in upstream operations. So proper blend of data analysis, hands-on experience in applications with real world examples. That is a uniqueness about this program. You learn a little bit of theory. You're given a problem that you work on hands-on. You try your model, you do your analysis, and then you talk about how it relates to the real world. So how do you interpret the results? So that is the model that we use so that the concepts are easily understood, they are applied, and if and then you interpret what that means for a real world situation. And so by the time people come out of this, students should learn a ready to apply practical skill set. You would have worked with the data sets that are real, and as such, your ability to recognize them and then apply them becomes a little bit easier. Moving along. So we talked about the badging process. So the program is divided into 15-hour modules that is delivered over a 2-week period. So the first week, we meet for 3 times, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And each day you do for about 2 hours. So that makes it 6 hours in the first week. And then over the weekend, you take an exam. It is like, think of it, if you're taking a university credit, it's like a midterm exam. So, and each of the, when you're going through the lecture, at the end of that, there is a comprehension at that time, have you understood that or not? But at the end of the week is actually a test. A test being a little bit more about, are you able to put these concepts together in terms of how you look at a problem? So generally, we are trying to give at the end of each week a homework assignment where you really try to combine these, or it may be a short quiz, 15 questions that you take on your own. So these things, you have to successfully complete these, 15 hours to earn a badge. So what does successfully completion mean? At the midterm exam, you should have a score of 80% or higher. So when you take the exam, if you really do not get that score, because you will immediately know how much you got, you can retake the test. So the test that you take the first time and the second time, while concepts and areas on which you are being tested are identical, the questions may not be. So there is a pool of questions, and from which the computer randomly selects the number for that exam, and then you take it. And then once you pass, you can try any number of times. Once you pass, you are ready for the next week. The whole idea here is, did you understand it, and can you apply it? So the second week, at the end of which you have again a test, and based on these results, you get a badge. So we have 3 such badges to make a belt. So in the bronze belt, which is the first belt, the areas that we are really trying to cover, the 3 badges are data processing and machine learning. This is to really get you to learn the concepts of machine learning. I have here with me both um, Kalyan Venugopal, who is the one of the professors who will be teaching this class. He is he's the manager for training at Schlumberger, and he would be also delivering the program. And we also have Dr. Shastri from UH Downtown, who will also be lecturing. So we will be happy to get in a little bit more detail in case you have questions, and they will be happy to help you with that as well. So we are initially, we just to go ahead and talk about how do you train a machine to really come up with some kind of a model. And then data models, evaluation, how do you make sure that it is, how predictable is this, how good is it, and so on. We will cover some of those. That is leading to the second batch. Additional techniques on how you may want to build machine learning algorithms. So finally, it comes down with what other machine learning algorithms, which are a little bit more higher level, we will cover. So by the time you finish the bronze belt, you would have learned about how do you look at data, how do you clean data, how do you, start forming some relationships among the data, and how do you teach a machine to really do that, and then, which is essentially how do you create a model, and then how do you evaluate models, and how do you look at, more complicated algorithms to really use as artificial or machine learning algorithms. So that is what we try to cover in the bronze belt. And so you will be skilled at, by the time you finish that, in data exploration and pre-processing, which is cleaning the data, making sure if you have 2 strings of data that have different units, how do you combine them so that they are all in the same units? If they are from 2 different areas, how do you make sure that they are all combined in a way so that they are compatible? Okay. Then we also talk about machine learning modeling, and then the last one that you will be is not only evaluating a model, how can you improve model building? So that is what we go through in the batching process. So who should attend this program? And we talk about 2 kinds of populations that we can draw from, that we suggest. So current industry professionals. So these are people who are already working or who were working and who are now in transition. And so they have seen that these kinds of things can be done, but would really like to enhance their capabilities so that they can get in and be a lot more productive. Productive being by getting deeper insights into the data that they deal with so that they can make better decisions. So that is one group, those who are already in industry or they are being in industry and are now in transition. The second one is for students who are aspiring to join the upstream energy workforce. So probably they have had some experience. They certainly have had courses, like if you're a petroleum engineer and you have taken some courses, you have worked in summers or probably done internships. Now you are getting into the workforce, and you would really like to skill yourself up because you know you will be a lot more attractive to industry if you were to do that. So this is for people who are wanting to have a ready to apply practical skill set in data analytics so that they are more attractive to industry. So those are the kind of people that we go through. So when you apply for these, some of you may have already applied and may have gone through the process. We ask you to submit a resume of yours so that we take a look at to see whether you have the right kind of background so that it will be very valuable to you. If you do not have the right kind of background, then it becomes a lot harder on you as you are trying to learn because this is quite a paced one. And secondly, it may be that the rest of the class is getting dragged down. So we go through a screening process to make sure that we have a reasonably homogeneous group who are a little bit aware, knowledgeable about the upstream oil and gas business. Okay, so moving along. uh, Timing. So what is the program schedule? Batch 1, which is on data processing and machine learning, we start on the 20th of July. And so 2 weeks, that whole week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the following week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we wrap it up on July 31st. So that is 6 lectures, and that's what you will be going through. People can stop at any one badge, or they can continue and take all 3 badges. And so badge 2 is about data modeling and evaluation, starts on August the 3rd, which is 31st is a Friday. The following Monday is when we start on the next program. And that would go on, for so that goes on again for 2 weeks, the August 3rd through August 14th. And then batch 3 goes from August 17th to August 28th. We meet from 6 to 8, and so that is how we have it set up, Central Time in the evening. So those who are working, probably once they get out, these days we are not physically in working locations. Some of you may be, but many of us work from home. So at least you have a chance to grab a bite to eat, and then you go from 6 to 8. All classes are virtual, and we will be using Zoom. Okay, so you can easily get in. Although we have said badges 1, 2, and 3, you can take any one badge, but we prefer that you take it in sequence because we build on the previous badge to go on to the next badge. Some people may have a lot of experience in some areas and say, can I skip something and then go on to the next? So we do allow for something like that, but you need to demonstrate that you have. That you have the experience, you know how to do it, and then you want to move on to the next batch. We have had people, talk about, can I skip the whole belt and go on to the next belt, which is where we start teaching programming languages like Python. During the bronze belt, we do not use any we use computer software, but you don't need to do much programming. We use Orange, which is very easy to learn. We'll give you a quick tutorial, lead you to where you can look them up on YouTube so you can learn a little bit. And in class, every example that we work through, walk you through how to put it into Orange and how to interpret the results. So all of that would be done. So those some people would really like to jump and get on to the more serious programming like Python. And what we have, our logic is in the second belt, we start with programming languages and we teach them Python. The reason we split that way was in the first batch, you learn about data analysis. So that way your concepts and how to use them is all well grounded. So when you come to the second one, now you are learning a new thing about how to program. What exactly you're programming is what you were taught in badge in belt one. So we felt that would be appropriate. And of course, the last belt, which is the gold belt, is very advanced techniques where you have additional things like time series analysis and text analysis and so on will be taught in the gold badge. So right now, all we are offering is the bronze belt, and then uh, we will think about the next one shortly in fall. So the price of these badges are, if you only take one badge and you demonstrate that you can get on to the second badge without having to take the first one, any badge costs you $600. But if you take all three of them, there is a discount, and you can do it for $1,500 or roughly $500 a badge. Okay. So here is information on where you can learn a little bit more about it, and you can also, how to apply for it. Click on this link, and then you should be able to get it. So if you go down to Energy website, you can get into data analytics, look at the program, and then you can register for it. Okay. With that, let me see whether we have any questions that people might have. And I'm going to be minimizing this so that we can indeed, look at people and answer questions. So I see several questions that are being asked here. So I'll try and then see if I can answer some of them. Would you be able to share the presentation? We will be happy to post it on the website. Or if you, as part of this, if you write to us, we can easily send you a copy of this. The best is for you to go to the website. We will post this presentation on the website. Okay. So somebody has given their email address, and we will send you a copy. And then the next question was, are we recording these lectures? The answer is yes. As we give these lectures, each of the 2-hour period will be completely recorded. And the prime purpose of doing that is if you have a question at a later point in time, as you are doing your homework or others, you can always go back and listen to the lecture one more time. So, or several times. So all the lectures will be recorded. And the workshop will cover machine learning concepts. Okay. So the questions are, will we cover machine learning concepts, application in oil and gas, and hands-on via the visual programming called Orange? That is the correct answer. Yes, that's what we will do. Let us see. We have another question. The majority instruction coming from downtown or next? Yes, it is majority of it will be from downtown, Dr. Shastri, and from next, which will be Kalyan Venugopal. We will also have a sprinkling of some of the professors from U of H, from petroleum engineering, from geosciences, who have been doing a lot of research using this data on real live oil fields. So all of that is also available. We're trying to make sure that some of them also join in on the conversation. Let me see, lectures are recorded, that is correct. And Will these classes? I'm currently doing masters in data science at UH and work in the industry as a reservoir engineer. Would I gain any value from this, or would this be redundant to take? Um, it is, you're doing data sciences at U of H. I'll repeat the question, and maybe Dr. Shastri can talk a little bit about how much of what we are going to cover is covered in the UH Master in Data Science. I am assuming that you are taking in the computer science department or the math department. Roderick, if you want to answer that, you can. In the meanwhile, I will really let Dr. Shastri answer that.
So this UH program has a master's in data analytics or data science, and I'm teaching a couple of courses there. So Roderick, I'm not sure what course are you referring to in this program, master's in data science, and who taught this one, so I can have a better idea about this one, but I did not teach it. In general, this workshop will cover machine learning concepts, the fundamentals, and their applications in oil and gas. Right? And then we will use Orange as a tool. So you can learn concepts at multiple levels. So if you have taken machine learning course in your data science program, probably you may learn Orange too, which is quite neat. And that's where the trend is going, the visual programming. So Microsoft has an Azure platform, and they also provide this kind of drag and drop features that where you don't have to write code. You can just create, combine the modules, prepare a pipeline, and then perform the task. So did I answer your question, Roderick?
Rodri, you're muted. So if you want to ask if you think it clarified it, you can open up your link and then say yes, so that you are not muted. And but if you prefer to communicate with us via email, we will be happy to talk to you. Okay, so that we can help you with that decision.
That answered my question. I appreciate it.
Okay, very good. The one that I have here is currently doing that. Okay, we'll be using. Okay, so the question has been answered by Kalyan. So we will be moving on to the next one. Will seismic data or well data be used? Any other specifics data? Why not I let Kalyan answer that? He has got the data sets. What data sets we would be using? If you can elaborate on that, Kalyan, that will be helpful.
Yeah, so thank you, Dr. Radha. In fact, I actually replied to that question in the chat box already.
Okay.
So in the initial phases, that's a bronze belt, we would be focusing on log and drilling and production data to get a flavor of applying some of these machine learning algorithms, either for classification or regression or even clustering problems. But things like seismic, we may incorporate those hands-on data in the last belt, the gold belt, as part of deep learning based image classification concepts.
Did we answer your question? I think that was earlier.
Yeah, he did. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I got disconnected there, but I'd already posted my feedback in the chat box. If you need any other additional information, I'll be happy to provide.
Okay, very good. Moving along, there is a question that came in. Will majority of the instruction be provided by U of H? Okay, we have answered that question also. Quickly looking through here. All right, any other questions people can? I think we have gone through. If I have missed some.
Dr. Radha, there are a couple of other questions here. So there's one from Jennifer around price structure. She's asking, will the price structure be the same for the later belt sessions, or will it increase?
It will be just the same. Right now, that's how we are thinking about it. Okay.
Okay, and then the next question is from Iris about, will there be a recording of today's information session somewhere for them to access?
Yes, it is being recorded right now, and we will again post it as part of our website. Okay.
Yeah, and then I think Dr. Shastri has given an initial answer for a question from Paul about whether we will use tools like AWS or Azure anywhere in the program. So at this point, we are not actually planning to use things like AWS or Azure. But having said that, in the goal belt, we may actually allow students to actually explore some of these platforms if they want to carry out some of their programs in a cloud environment. But whatever we plan to do, you should be able to do that using basically Python in your machine kind of approach. But we are not planning to definitively include one of these, but it is an option for students to use if they want. So there is a question about what level of programming skills are needed for this program from Iris. So I can actually
Yeah, that's a great question. And the best part about this belt is there is no need to have any programming background. So the goal is to focus on the concepts rather than worrying about learning programming skills and then applying to machine learning.
Right.
And that's why we picked Orange over other programming languages like R or Python.
Right. So in fact, I just want to supplement Dr. Shastri's response. As somebody that's working in Schlumberger, I know that a lot of companies like Schlumberger are actually moving towards using visual programming platforms to do what they call as democratizing the process of AI. So Dr. Shastri mentioned Azure is a drag and drop application that you can use. Similarly, RapidMiner, Data IQ, these are all applications that are being used by the industry, essentially for everybody to actually get a feel for and try machine learning and AI in their workplace. And the beauty with these applications is that if you really want to take it to the next level, you can actually bring in Python scripts. So that is where, in the second belt, we would actually introduce Python programming and how it's applied to machine learning, some of the advanced machine learning algorithms. So even if you use some of these visual programming concepts, you can actually write your own scripts and you can embed that into this visual programming interface. And that's really where the world is moving, actually.
Any other questions?
So there is one question from Austin about how many other universities use this badge and belt model and what type of certificate would the participants receive?
Okay, in terms of the badge and belt, and again, I will also ask my colleague, Dr. Alan Rossiter, also to chip in, because he is also been working in looking at who is offering badging and so on. So after he comments on that, then I will, follow it up with my comments. Alan, you want to add to that, answer that question?
Yeah, sure. So we've certainly been exploring a range of different badging options, but the way this system works, this, as Dr. Rada had mentioned, this is a system that has been used now for a decade or more by people like IBM. And as you might imagine, it is essentially a digital process, given that IBM has been one of the founders of this approach. And so what it basically amounts to is you have metadata stored at the badging, in the badging system, and that then records a permanent record of your achievement on the course. You can then access that, incorporate it into your LinkedIn profile or share it on social media. It becomes part of your digital resume. So there is not a physical certificate. What you would get is essentially this digital badge, which you can then incorporate into your resume digitally. And as I say, this is something now that has become fairly well established, especially in the data area. And so this is really a new trend in certification and credentialing.
Just to add to that, with all this, with the COVID situation, lots of universities are, in spring, we were all essentially virtual, and coming fall, it is still not clear which way we go, although people are being given options. Do you want to teach it, online all the way, which is virtually, or do you want to do partly online and partly, face-to-face? So all those options are being, but the way the trend is it is moving more and more towards how can we make it easier for people to learn. And so COVID has essentially forced us into this one very rapidly. We've been thrown into it and then we have been swimming through. So universities are looking at what are ways in which we can offer courses. Digital badging is definitely an option many people are looking at, including at the University of Houston. Uh, so uh, North Texas is also looking at it. There are several other universities that are looking at digital badging. Is
Yes,
anybody doing
yeah,
it? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I should also say, I mean, it's as you say, it's become quite well established, and I sort of skipped over that part of the question, but Cambridge and Harvard and as well, and a number of other universities have been doing this for a while now, actually. So, we're not the first university to take this approach.
Okay, so that is why we chose this, and it's also smaller pieces. It's a skill-based one. So the badging fits that, what we are trying to achieve, it fits it very well. So if you want to take beyond this, you want to get a lot more knowledge, most appropriate to take badges here and then go ahead and then get yourself a master's in data analytics, where you will learn a lot more, which is, increasing your knowledge of the field. From a skill set, we are focusing what we can do so that you can do it right away.
Okay, there's a question here from Iris on, will students be given any projects to work on? I can take this one, and maybe Dr. Shastri or you can add on to this, Dr. Radha. So one of the specialities or the focus of these belts or the badges particularly is to ensure that the participants get some hands-on skills on how to actually develop and design machine learning models, how to actually validate them, etc. So yes, there would be projects, but I don't want you to think as this as a huge project, but this would be like short projects that you would do. Essentially, we will start it as hands-on lab sessions as part of the 2-hour lectures, and you will be allowed to continue that once you finish the class. And we will also give you some specific assignments where you would actually apply what you've learned in a slightly different environment, a different data set. So yes, there will be those kind of projects that we will be involved in the course, and that's basically where you would learn the hands-on, you will build on the hands-on concepts to ensure that you get some valuable skill set that you can apply when you graduate from this certification.
So you may think each lecture is divided into 3 stages. At the beginning of the lecture, we will talk about the abstract idea of every machine learning algorithm, right? So for example, when we talk about KNN, K nearest neighborhood, let's forget about the math behind it or computer science behind it. What is the abstract idea of KNN? Right? That's what we are going to talk about. Then we will bring in the mathematical models if it's a math-based or statistic-based algorithm. Or if it's a computer science-based algorithm, then we will learn about the concepts of that model. And then last stage is we will have hands-on. So only theory is not sufficient. It may look very good on paper or for journal publications or so, but I want to apply this one, right? And that's where the hands-on part comes into the picture. So this way, we will go through the entire pipeline of every single algorithm.
Right.
So there is a question here from Iris. How will students get their questions answered after class? We certainly plan to have either a chat session, or we can have a session where people can ask questions, just like a professor would set up visiting hours. So you can just say, we meet on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays, an hour can be set up where people can come in and ask questions or post questions, and we will try to answer them. Either we can do it virtually, or you can send the questions and we can have a chat box. And these kinds of boxes are available on Canvas. People can post your questions and then we will try and then answer them so that you can get your answers right from there.
So yeah, just to add to what you just mentioned, Dr. Radha. So during the lectures, as Dr. Shastri alluded to the structure of the 2-hour sessions, every session will start with a recap and a Q&A on what was covered in the previous session, so that you would have a chance to answer specific questions after having gone through the concepts and also the hands-on labs. And also the lectures will not be delivered continuously. They will be delivered in short stints. And after that, we will have an opportunity to discuss and have some Q&As. And then following that will be the Canvas interaction board, where people can submit questions and you can actually interact with each other as participants. And then the people that are going to be teaching the classes will also be able to answer questions. And there is actually one question from Elia on that as a follow-up, where she is asking if there is a way that these questions and Q&As can be recorded and made available to other people as a reference. And that's something, Dr. Radha, you can comment on. Will Canvas provide that option?
Yes, two ways in which you have the questions to those. First of all, every lecture is being recorded. And as such, if you had something, you can go back and then listen to it. The other one, which is when you post a question in Canvas, and when people answer, it will always be there. You can go back and look at the previous questions and previous answers that were provided as a way to get caught up. That is a permanent record. It's not wiped out at the end of every day. It is there forever.
And in fact, Dr. Ramanan drives across the message very nicely, saying that that peer-to-peer learning, which is promoted by Canvas, or where Canvas provides an option, is an important part of the.
Okay, but are there any other question? Yeah. Any other question?
I don't see anything more.
It is just about 10:45 or a minute up after that. I know we had contracted with you to talk about for 45 minutes. So if any one of you have any additional questions, please feel free to send us an email at UH. We will, now let me ask Lauren. Lauren, is there a place where they can send their questions to?
Yes, yeah, I'll send out the email address in the chat.
Okay. We will send out an email address so that you can send all your questions over there. We will be happy to get back to you. Okay. And thank you all for taking the time to come in and then listen to the program. And hopefully we will see most of you, if not all of you, in our class on the 20th. Okay. So, if you are interested in registering, you have the link to go ahead and then register. Please do so. And then we will admit you, and then you can pay the fees and so on. Okay. With that, thank you all one more time. So let me ask either any one of my colleagues, whether Dr. Ramanan wants to say something, or Kalyan Venugopal, or Dr. Shastri. Any one of you guys want to add anything? Please unmute yourself and then provide your comments.
Just to give you an analogy about this course or the workshop, before taking the workshop, probably your expression may be like this one: hey, what are these things? What do you mean by supervised learning? What do you mean by unsupervised learning? I understand KNN. Now there is something called ANN. What is this? What is cross validation? What do you mean by clustering? All these concepts we are going to cover in this workshop. So after the end of this course, probably your expression would be more like this one. Yeah, I know this, I know this, I know this. And that's a guarantee we can give you about this course. After taking this course, you will be much more confident about machine learning and its application in oil and gas, and how can you create machine learning pipeline without writing a single line of code in Orange. And once you know Orange, it would be easier for you to adopt other platforms such as Microsoft Azure, which has very similar pipeline. And there was another one that Kalyan mentioned a few weeks ago, that Schlumberger has adopted a pipeline.
Yeah, it's called Data IQ. Data IQ is a company that we are partnered with. Yes.
Correct. So you can expand that concepts to different platforms relatively easy. Thank you.
Dr. Radha, it may be worth mentioning to everyone about the other courses that the University of Houston Energy Department is also encouraging in other disciplines.
May I just ask you, Chuck, because I was coming down to that before we leave, to really, can you say a few words about we have another badging micro-credentialing program in sustainable energy development. And Chuck McConnell, my colleague, is leading that effort. So Chuck, may I ask you to say a few words on that one?
Well, I'll certainly be brief given the time situation, but also encourage everyone that tomorrow at this same time, we will also have a webinar, an info session on sustainable energy development. It's really about the challenge that the marketplace faces today with the need for more energy, the need for reliable supply and cost-effective energy, but also the fact that we're going into a low carbon era, the transition into a lower carbon era. And what will it take for the energy industry to make that transition? I think it's an opportunity for many of us in the energy business, whether we're in existing positions or looking to actually expand our capabilities. This course, I would hope, would give people a real strong understanding of what we call the energy trilemma. You can certainly find out more about it tomorrow at our webcast, but also just coming to our website for University of Houston Energy to get a real strong understanding of the overall suite of courses that are being offered in a number of different disciplines. So hope to see you tomorrow, and we hope to be as informative as this was today for all of you.
Hello, Chuck. It is nice to meet you here. There is actually a question from Elia about whether this sustainable energy development program is part of the geoscience or the business or the engineering group.
I would say it's a little bit of everything, Kalyan.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of our Center for Carbon Management in Energy at the University of Houston. We look at things holistically, multidisciplined, and at the same time providing the same type of micro-credentialing that Dr. Rada had described. So we believe this is an opportunity for people to do that badging and use that capability to build their resume and build their knowledge base. So a little bit of everything, but the backbone to it all is UH Energy. And it's good to see you again, too.
Yeah.
Well, do not want to take any more of your time. Thank you all for coming. And so we will see you, hopefully registered for the class, and then see you on the 20th.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.